Common crop herbicides like Roundup and Liberty are hard to find, and they're also expensive if you're looking to buy them.
WCI3's ag reporter Stu Ellis says there are some alternative options, which he'll share with you in this report from the farm.
Even though most corn and soybean crops are small, weeds will soon overpower them. And University of Illinois weed specialist Aaron Hager provides his expertise to farmers.
There's going to be quite a bit of interest, I think, this year in trying to extend the residual control past that initial post-emergence application, especially on the soybean side, given the fact that we've got some fairly limited quantities of several of the more common post-applied herbicides. The glyphosate-containing products and the glufosinate are in still pretty tight supply. Of course, there's a lot of issues around the increase in price. So I think the idea of adding another herbicide in with that foliar applied application is going to be fairly appealing to a lot of farmers to try to extend that residual control following that first application in order to possibly avoid having to come back and do a respray if there's another emergence event.
And how do you make a decision?
Really, in the soybean side of things, there's a limited number of products that can go out in this particular use pattern as a residual herbicide that can be applied post. So it's not an extensive list, but there are some fairly good options in there. Really, what I think most people are trying to target is residual control of the pigweeds or the amaranthus species. So species that tend to have multiple germination and emergence events throughout the growing season. Again, trying to reduce the likelihood of having to make that second post trip with uncertainty if even supplies are going to be there for another foliar application if needed.
What about atypical weed control?
There's again this year, quite a bit of volunteer corn that we see, popping up in soybean fields. And that could be an issue, especially when we consider some of the challenges of tank mixing the post-grass materials with some of the post-broadleaf materials. We can see issues with antagonism to where we still can maintain control of the broadleaf species, but in many instances we can see reduced control of the monocot or grass species. And in particular, volunteer corn can be quite challenging.
Hager reminds farmers that blooms on beans may further limit the use of many herbicides. And June 20th is the final day for using dicamba. That's our report from the farm. I'm Stu Ellis with WCIA 3, your local news leader.